Good afternoon, crafty peeps. Welcome to part 2 of our Carta Country Kitchen tutorial. So basically, I already kind of put this together, but I'm going to explain this to you the best I can. And I just wrote down the measurements for you. So for page 1, you are going to need, and right now we're just going to work on the flap, okay? It is going to be, you're going to need a sheet of solid colored cardstock. And all of this is solid colored cardstock. I'm not going to give you the measurements for the pattern paper because it's just going to be an eighth of an inch shorter than your base pages here. Okay, so for the flap, which is what this little piece is here, okay, and don't mind this. I was going to use magnets and I changed my mind because this is very thick. You're going to need 2 sheets of solid colored cardstock, one at 8¼ inch by 12 inches, and then your second piece is going to be 8¼ inch by 5 inches. So on your first page, which is going to be this one, if you could see this, this is 12 inches, right? So you're going to turn your page to the 12 inches. You're going to score at 4.5 and then 9, okay? And then your second piece, if I'm going to flip this over, this is actually the second piece. This is really 5 inches, okay? And then I scored it at a 1/2 inch, okay, to make my hinge, which is right here. Then what I did, as you can see, I glued that whole 4.5 inch piece to this, okay? So now I can go ahead and fold it like this. For the belt, okay, the belt buckle, and I'm going to write this down as I'm telling you because I don't want to forget. You're going to need a strip of paper that is going to be 8¼ inch by looks like, I'm sorry, it's 2.5. Okay, and then your other half of the buckle is going to be 6⅛ by 2.5. Okay, and then on the side of the buckles, on each one of these, you're going to score it a 1/2 inch. Okay, then for my little loop here for the belt buckle, that will be my little sliding mechanism. Okay, you're going to need a sheet, like a little scrap. Okay, that's what I just used. 1.5 inches by 6¼ and I scored at 2.5, 2 5/8, and then I scored at 5¼ and then 5 3/8. Okay, so that way you have like a little bit of a I don't know what you want to say, like kind of like a hinge here. So now, whoops, let me grab my album here. If you did not attach this to your page already, you may have to adjust your measurement a little bit because I did not, attach it to your hinge, which is on your, obviously on your book. I always wait till the very end and then attach these, okay? So that way if I make any mistakes, I'm losing a page and not a whole book. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find like a middle space here. I'm going to take my longest hinge, and you can use whatever adhesive you have. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of center this so it looks like it's in the middle. Okay, now I'm going to grab my glue, and I apologize, I did, when I scored this, I scored it at a 1/2 inch, and then I scored it at another 5 at the 5/8 inch. So there's actually like 2 little score lines there, just to make it a little bit more to hold the thickness of this stacking right here, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to go inside my hinge, or my hinge would be. My pocket, shall I say. I don't know why I can't think of the right words. And I'm just going to move it up a little bit to center it. I'm going to flip it over. Basically, I'm going to attach this, okay? So let me press down. I'm going to burnish it in on the inside. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line it up. But before I do that, I want to add on my little hinge. Not hinge, my sliding mechanism. I don't know why I'm not saying this right. Okay, but I wanted to wait until I actually had it on here before I glued it because I want to give a little bit of space here. Because what's going to happen is once I add paper on here, this is going to get thicker and it will not slide very well if I don't give it some space. Okay, I'm just going to press on here. And here we go. So now I should be able to move this up and down along here. So now I can come here and grab the other side of my buckle. And I'm going to attach that piece. Just going to line it up. And let me kind of lift my hand inside here. I can move it to line it up. And press down. And burnish it, and make sure you wipe off any excess glue in there. See, so now I can slide my buckle along here, and it should, that way I can just slide it right off, but it's still going to hold this down. Isn't that awesome? I'm such a nerd. Anyway, so let me figure out this pocket because I decided I want to make this an expandable pocket, so I need to trash this little piece and make a new one, so I'll be right back. Okay, so for my pocket, okay, that's going to be for page 1. I want you to get a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, and you're going to score it at 3/4 inch and then 3 1/2. You're going to turn it once counterclockwise, okay, and you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2, 10, 10 1/2, 11, and 11 1/2. And then this little piece right here, we're just going to trim this one off. Okay, just one of the 1/2 inch slivers. Okay. All right. And then now I can go ahead and cut this off. Alrighty then. Hopefully I did this right. Also, I want you where this little, I believe it was 3/4 inch, you're going to trim that off. We won't be needing it. Okay. Okay. Now, we can get this ready to use. I'm going to burnish that in. Just get it ready. And then I'm going to be making my expandable pocket, and I'm just going to bungee fold it. So the very first one back over here, closest to the pocket, is down, then up, and then down. So now it looks kind of like this, like a little accordion fold. Okay. Now we're going to grab our little dealy-do here, Now, if you want to go ahead and make a space in the center of this pocket, you can. Okay. And I think I might do that right now. So let me just figure out what my center is. Hold on. I'm not going to fold it all the way over, just up here at the top. And I'm going to let you know what that center is. So it would actually be at 4 and, well, in between 4 and a quarter and 4 and 1/8, okay? I'm going to grab my We Are Memory Keeper punch board. And I'm just going to make a little divot. Line it up there. Okay. And now it's ready to go. So the first thing I want to do is glue down this bottom piece. Oops. So let me get out my mat. And I'm going to glue this on here. And make sure you get the glue down all the way to the edge because you don't want any lifting, especially if you're tucking things in your pockets. It will eventually lift and tear. So just going to line it up there. All the way butted up to the end. And press. Okay, now we can really burnish that in and wipe off that glue or it's going to stick and ruin your pocket. Okay, burnish that in. Now what I like to do is tuck just one of these little 1/2 inch hinges inside this pocket, okay? And I would really suggest doing this after you paper it, okay? So that is up to you. Oh wait, no, that's not going to work. I apologize, guys. I'm a liar. Wipe that off. You're going to, this one you will need to apply your paper first. So I will give you that measurement real quick. So give me 1 second. I'm going to find out which paper I want to use, okay? Okay, guys, so for your pattern paper on all your base pages, in other words, so like this one, it's going to be 8 3/8 by 8 7/8 inch long, okay? And then I kind of made a boo-boo here. I decided that this little hinge mechanism was way too much going on, okay? Let me see something. I don't know. Just wasn't feeling this. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to cut this off at an angle. Okay, and I should have remembered to do that. And also, I want you to cut off 1 1/2 inch on each side, okay? I just thought it was just too big of a pocket. It just was way too much going on. So just take one of those 1/2 inches off. I just cut mine off. And do this here. And then you can burnish it in. I'm not sure why I'm so messy today, but I am a super messy crafter. Today anyway. Okay, so now we have that. I get this pocket out of the way since I'm not going to use it. So now we have, a pocket plenty large enough to hold several recipe cards. Also, I cut this down to 4 by 6 so I could show you. So what the idea of this is that you could have your 4x6 um, card here, and then we're going to have a space for journaling. So you can put the temperature, how many people it serves, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so you'll be able to do that for at least 2, 4, 6. You could fit another one here. That'd be 7. And then several recipe cards in this pocket, like a lot. Okay. Well, I got like dried up glue everywhere. So I'm going to finish covering this. And this really, I'm debating on whether or not to have that stay in place. But anyway, let me finish that, covering this up, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I think it's looking pretty cute. I decided not to paper the opposite side of this because, I mean, it's up to you. If you want to, you can. If you don't have to. But I like the little sliding mechanism. And I also use some of my I'd Rather Be Crafting solid colored cardstock from Echo Park to kind of do my accent. This was just a couple pieces I had left over from my Craftology box, so I'm trying to incorporate those two, and I may use this along here, but I know I'm not going to use um, the Cartabella because it is very thick, and if I decide to glue this piece down, this little sliding mechanism, then of course it won't slide anymore, and I want to make sure that the paper is not so thick that I can't see what I'm saying. Like I think that it might make it difficult to pull it out. So I think I'll just leave it the way it is. I really like how it looks. But anyway, um, let's start on page 2. I'm almost debating on whether to add more to this page because I literally could. Let me think about that. Let me think about that. Hold on. Okay, so this may be a crazy idea, but I think I'm kind of liking it. So it's up to you if you want to add this on. But what I was thinking was is having 2 pocket pages right here that you could add more recipe cards into, but I am going to make it a little bit wider. So what I did was is I took 2 on my first piece of paper. Let's just get that over with. It is 9 inches by 7 inches. Okay, on the 7-inch side, I scored it at 5 inches. You're going to turn it back to the 9-inch side, and you're going to score at 3/4 inch, and you're going to score at 5/8. Sorry. Okay, and that's just giving it a little extra bendy room. Okay. So that when you're, and I'm just going to burnish that in. This one is just fine. Okay, and then I'm going to glue this up here. So this is not going to be a very thick pocket, but it'll fit maybe 3 cards. You don't want it too thick because then obviously it won't hold any cards. So I'm going to paper mine first, and then I'm going to glue it on top, okay? So for this one is going to be 7 inches by 6 7/8. And you're going to score at 1. I think I cut this a little bit short. I'm sorry. This should be, I don't know why it's showing that's a little bit small. I don't know what happened. But anyway, I apologize. This one should be the exact same thing. It should be, let's do this again, 7 inches by 7 inches. Okay. You're going to score at 2 inches for the flap. Okay. And then here, you're going to score at, it should be 6 1/4, and then you're going to score at 6 3/8. just to give that extra portion to your hinge, okay? And then again, do the same thing. You're gonna, burnish that in so that it'll fold properly. Okay. Okay. So now you have this one. So I hope that makes sense. And then you're going to glue it on there, okay? But before you do add some paper, I guess we'll have to paper this together. I apologize. What I'm wanting to do is I want to add some seam binding ribbon so that this will stay closed. I think that using a magnet would not work, only for the reason that, it just wouldn't work. Because of the thickness of how this is going to be when you add in your recipe cards. So let me kind of get to that. I know that I'm going to put my seam binding ribbon right here, and then again I'm going to lie it right here, and I'll just have it line up. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, we could just attach this now. Let me go ahead and attach this side first. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of guesstimating where I want to attach that. And I'm thinking right about there is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. Don't glue it on both sides or you will not be able to get it on your hinge. Okay. And I'm just burnishing that in there. I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to line this up. Okay. You can hold your page however you want to, but for me, I'm going to open up that little pocket there. And I'm just going to try to, I have to move it down obviously. Okay. And I'm just going to take my bone folder, kind of burnish it in there. Wipe off any glue that's coming out. Don't want these to seal up. Okay. So now it should look something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my seam binding ribbon. So essentially my seam binding ribbon will be underneath my paper. I hope that looks red. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and line this up here. And if you want to attach some of this here, that can help too. Just to keep your tail from flailing up. I'm going to just leave enough room for a bow. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same thing. right there. I'm just lining it up, making sure that that kind of looks like it's across from each other, and it does. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. And you're going to have to put something in between here. I'm sorry, I'm going to make that a little bit longer so that it does not get stuck closed. That looks really good. Okay. And just for giggles, I'm going to add some tape in there. So that it doesn't lift. And I want to stick it way down in there so that it kind of looks like, I don't know if you can see that. There. Here's my little lighting there. So I hope that works. Oops. So essentially it would tie like so. Okay, in fact, I'm going to bring my glue on this side all the way up here. And I think I'm just going to leave, like I said, enough to make a bow and save that for later. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry and then I will be back. But I'm also going to cover this as well. Like I said, it's really easy. You're just going to do 1/8 an inch shorter than what these are. And then you will, once you have your paper here, you can glue it down. Or you can just have your paper run here and make it smaller. Like, how do you say, like this? Okay. If that makes any sense. Because they're not going to see that. So you could essentially just, you know, use this. Okay. So anyway, I'll be back. Okay, so I really like how page 1 has turned out. So there's quite a bit of space. This would be for a little bit smaller than a, it's just a little snug when I did my glue here. So you could do hinges on the inside and then it wouldn't be that snug. You could actually fit a 4x6 in there. But I'm thinking for my smaller 3x4s, we'll go right there. And then of course, I can put a 4x6 here. I can have several cards in here. And then again, I can have another one here with some writing here. So I think that this has turned out really super cute. And after this, we'll get started on page 2.